Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't had an opportunity to watch The Walking Dead season finale, stop listening now. Major spoilers, here we go. Tonight's episode was called A, as in Alpha. Many paths collide. Rick faces sheer brutality. The group struggles to survive. This is the updated information that we have for the episode, obviously because it already aired, and DirecTV and, the network provider obviously gave it an update. And thankfully, because last time it just said many paths collide, and I was like, what is going on? Okay, now we understand. This was absolutely my favorite season finale of The Walking Dead. And what I mean by that is not because of the amount of chaos and destruction and kill counts. No, it was because it wrapped up seasons 1 through 4 completely. And it wrapped up seasons 3 through 4 completely. There are no more plot holes. There is nothing else that we need to go and rehash from the previous seasons. Everything is good to go. Everything is locked up tight so that we can get ready for the new season that is coming whenever they decide to release season 5. And I'm really, really, really excited about that. Tonight's episode showed Rick in a brand new light, man. That to be honest, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna look at him the same anymore, and that's the trouble that I think Carl will have with him as the show progresses. He ate a dude's neck, and I guess that's not the best way you can say it. He took a chunk out of a dude's neck to survive. He bit a dude's neck. He vampired a dude's neck off. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I totally agree with what he did. I mean, there was a dude attacking Carl and trying to do something to him that would have violated Carl for the rest of his life. The only thing that would have came after that is Carl committing suicide, because that's the only way that could have ever erased those memories, man. It was just pure, disgusting filth. And Rick wasn't having it, man. And he just, seriously, man, it was so beautiful the way he did it, man. He did a back headbutt, bam. Then the dude shot off a weapon, right next to his ear. All of a sudden you hear this ringing sound, man, from, your eardrum being, destroyed. And all of a sudden, man, he turns around, the guy grabs him, they lock up, man, and then Rick is like, kind of getting his senses back, and then the guy's like, what are you going to do now? You can't do anything. And then Rick, man, just, boom, headbutts him, man, forward headbutt, bow. And that's that. The dude is kind of like, kind of dizzy a little bit, Then all of a sudden, man, Rick goes in, man. He lunges in. And he just starts biting his neck like a damn gremlin. It was crazy, man. I've never... Yeah, like a gremlin, okay? But I've never seen anything like that before, man. We know that we had an altercation between TYREESE and Rick, where Rick kind of lost control, man. That was the exact same thing that happened tonight, man. And Rick talked about that. He said, that he's evil. He's the reason why, that they're in this situation, man, is because pretty much he can't get his stuff together, man. But he did it for the survival of the group, man, for the survival of himself and for his son. And his son kind of is afraid of him a little bit right now. And he was seeking comfort inside of Michonne, which, like I told you guys, I said that Michonne is going to be like this mother figure to Carl. And that's what I love about her character. And they really showed that tonight, man. And I think that, hopefully, with all this stuff going on, man, I think that Michonne and Rick should come together, man, and get to know each other. All right, we're going to back up to the beginning of the episode. The beginning of the episode, man, had a flashback to Herschel. And this flashback was, for all sole purposes, man, is to conclude the chapter where Rick began to farm at the prison. And they showed you the reasoning behind that. And the justification was because Carl was turning into a trained robot killer, if you will, man. I mean, seriously. You had that one guy that got sick and spit inside of the water and then started biting people in the prison. Whatever that dude is, he was there playing with Legos, okay, in the flashback sequence. And while, as a normal kid would do, was play with Legos, play with toys, man, Carl's over there cleaning a weapon. And this was after Herschel talked to Rick and said, I'm going to teach you something. I want you to teach this to Carl. And I was going to teach you something about planting and fishing and doing all this other activities. I want you to teach this same stuff to Carl. And then Rick, at first, he puts it off. He's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I just need to go back and I need to hunt. I need to do what I got to do for the team. And then he goes inside and he sees Carl, man, not playing around with Legos. Instead, he's trying to clean this weapon, and he's cleaning this thing like a pro, like he's a veteran, man, like he's been trained by the army. It was crazy. He broke it down, cleaned it, put it back together, and he was so focused, man, that whenever Carl walks up to Rick and he's like, Carl, and Rick is, and then Carl's just sitting there, just not doing anything, and then Rick says again, he's like, Carl, and then Carl's still not paying attention. And then he's like, Carl, come here. I want to show you something. And after that, you see Rick take off his sheriff, whatever that thing is, the utility belt or whatever. He puts it down. And then he takes Carl and then they go out and they start planting, man. And that kind of showed you, man, how much influence and how much positivity, man, that Herschel had on the group, man, to be just perfectly honest. If it wasn't for Herschel, Carl would have probably turned into Lizzie, and I definitely believe that 100% now after seeing, because Lizzie and Micah, those cats were trained killers, man. They didn't. And the only time that you seen Micah play with a doll, was with Griselda Gunder, whatever, I forgot the name, but Griselda Gunderson, yeah, that's it. That's the only time, man. The rest of the time, they were out there killing walkers, and Micah was taking care of Lindsay, trying to keep her sane until she snapped, man. And that's what would have happened to Carl, man. Because at that time, you got to think all that time, Michonne wasn't there at that time. This is before Michonne had shown up, so Carl didn't have that best friend. Beth was taking care of Judith, and Beth and Carl were trying to, kind of get together or whatever, but, that just didn't work out or whatever. I don't know why, but, they had too much stuff going on. They couldn't be kids, man, and that kind of, when you fast forward and you think about Beth, they showed you how all she wanted to do was get drunk later on once her father had died, because she'd been, she's been kept away from all that stuff, so she wasn't able to experience, I guess, life as a kid. She was just growing up. She was taking care of a kid. She was taking care of all these responsibilities as a young woman, 15, 16 years old, that a normal, 25-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old would be doing, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of something to really think about. Once the group caught up with Carl and Michonne and Rick, Daryl, just like I had predicted, man, he sacrificed himself and he was almost beaten to death by the group, man. They were like, the leader of the group was like, teach him a lesson, And then he actually said, we're gonna beat Daryl to death, and then we're going to beat your kid to death, and then after that we're gonna do stuff to Michonne and then beat her to death while you watch. And that's why Rick had to react, man. That's the reason why. And then Daryl kind of explains himself after everything's over with. Daryl explains himself to Rick, and he says, they took me into the group. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they were about, but they took me in. And Rick was like, trying to reassure him. He said, hey, don't worry about that, man. I understand you were alone. You had to do what you had to do. You were alone. You had to do what you had to do. It's okay. We're brothers. That's what he said. He said, we're brothers, man. And it was really, really, awesome. It was an awesome moment for The Walking Dead, I'm telling you. And then after that, man, we fast forward. They're heading towards Terminus, man. Rick, man, being the sheriff that he is, man, he decides to, and I love this, man, they go back to season 1, okay, and he hides some weapons, man. He puts weapons inside of a duffel bag, and then he hides them in the woods, man. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about The Walking Dead, man. You have to go back, you have to rewatch, you have to think about different things when you're watching this series, because everything ties together, man. And it has you just like, smiling, a couple of times, if you remember, with the duffel bag and the weapons, and it takes you back through all that stuff. They hide it inside of the forest, and then Rick says, we're not going to go through the front way of Terminus, we're going to go through the side or the back way. They hop over the fence, they go inside, and then they meet this guy. I don't know his name right now because I really wasn't focusing, man. I was just kind of freaking out the whole entire time, man. And, yeah, I know, I usually always do. But, yeah, I started freaking out. And then, the guy that they meet inside of Terminus, there's like this little group of people, man. Probably about maybe, I'd say 10 people inside. And you got one lady who is the voice of Terminus on the radio. It's just sending out the signal. She's just constantly recording messages or sending out that message, you know, about Terminus, man. Those who arrive survive. It's her. We finally seen who says that. You know, it's this old lady, man, little old lady, man. And she's just sitting there. And the guy that is the leader, I guess you could say, or the second leader, or whatever you want to call it, he turns around. He's like, oh, okay, so you guys didn't go through the front door, you went through the back door or whatever. You didn't get a chance to meet our welcoming committee. So he says the exact same thing that the lady who's always cooking that meat in the front of Terminus says. You know, you've had a long road, you look tired, you want to rest. Okay, welcome to Terminus. He says those exact same words. It's just nutty. It's nutty how he says it, but he did say it. And that's how he says, you know, we need you guys to lower your weapons, or give us your weapons. And if we can agree upon that, everything will be good to go. He kind of threatens them, man. He kind of threatens them, and that's the 100% honest. And I think that Rick picked up on that it was just the way that he said it. You know, he said something like, you know, if you trust us, we'll trust you, and everything will be fine. But if not, you know, we'll have some serious problems. Something like that, man. In that kind of sense, man. And then Rick was like, okay, yeah. Anyway, they searched Rick, Michonne, Carl, and Daryl. They let Michonne keep her sword. They let Daryl keep his crossbow. They let Carl and Rick keep their Glocks for some reason. I don't know why, man. I thought there was no weapons inside of Terminus, but I guess I was wrong. Or maybe they just noticed that, you know, okay, to keep these guys calm, since they just broke into Terminus, we need to go ahead and let them have these weapons, man. They're small weapons, and obviously we know how this place is set up, so they shouldn't be, you know, any kind of threat. So everything's kind of going good. Rick, Michonne, Carl, and Daryl, they go out to the front of Terminus, man, where SASHA, Glenn, Maggie, Rosita, Bob, Abraham, and Eugene had already arrived. And Rick starts looking around as Carl, Daryl, and Michonne are getting some food. They're getting handed plates of food. And then, you know, Rick starts noticing that a lot of this stuff that these people are wearing look like some of the clothing items that people that he knows from his group are, you know, have worn before. And he's like... And then, you know, at first he doesn't act on it. He just kind of looks around, you know, kind of getting like a little situational awareness. Then all of a sudden there's this guy that's passing out the plates, man. He has this silver little string that's going into his pocket. And Rick immediately, I'm talking about as soon as he sees this string, this silver string, this metal object or whatever, he runs over to the dude, reaches down in his pocket, he grabs out this watch, and he says, "Where did you get this at?" And he pulls out his Glock. He has the dude now, you know, like a headlock, and then he has a Glock towards his temple. He's like, "Where did you get this watch at?" And I don't know where that watch came from because I couldn't remember, but what I was guessing is that either it's from Maggie or it's from Glenn from Herschel. I'm pretty certain. I just don't know if it's 100%, but I'm about 99.9% certain that it's from Herschel. I'm just not 100%. Guys, let me know if you know that, but I'm pretty sure that's the one that Glenn got from Herschel after he asked Maggie's hand in marriage, or it was before. It's something like that. I remember something like a piece of watch because you had to have something from the family or something like that. Something old, something new, something used, or some crap like that. And then, well, not crap because it's a good thing. They got married. Yeah, so anyway, man, once Rick has the guy in the headlock, he has the Glock up to his temple and stuff. The guy's trying to calm Rick down. He's like, "Yeah, calm down. It's okay. Relax. You know, this is our stuff. I found this on the dead guy." They try to give so many different explanations and excuses, and Rick's like, "Listen, I'm not having it. I know exactly what's going on here. Tell me the truth." You know, and then all of a sudden that dude, the head guy from Terminus from the back room comes back out, and at this point, man, he looks like a robot. He looks like some kind of like, I don't know, for me, I got kind of scared. I was like, yo, does this dude have powers? Because he appeared out of nowhere, man. I'm going to be 100% real with you. He scared me so bad, man. I was like, who is this guy? And he was there, and he was like, okay, calm down, sir. Everything's going to be okay. You know, everything's fine. I know, obviously, you know, you don't trust us now, so we're going to have a problem. And then all of a sudden, you know, he makes this gesture. And then all of a sudden, the guy that Rick is holding gets his head blown off. And then you look up, and on every single building, the rooftop, there's armed guards. And then everybody that is sitting inside a Terminus just eating food or whatever inside of the little mall section, I guess you can say, they're sitting there and they have weapons. They drop their food and they're sitting there. They have guns pointed at Michonne, Carl, Daryl, and Rick. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're thinking to yourself, man, like, okay, this is it. This is over. This is the end. This is the finale. So Rick, Carl, Michonne, and Daryl, they're dead. Okay, I hate my life. I hate AMC. Just matter of fact, right now, just go ahead and just kill me right now. How about that? How about that? How about just get a sword, stick it into my stomach, slice it like I was watching The Blacklist. Okay, and that'll be the end of my chapter. And all of a sudden, man, Rick, he starts backing up. Michonne, Daryl, Carl, they start backing up, man, and then they're trying to escape. But what's kind of crazy about this, man, is that, you know, the people that are above them, the armed guards or whatever, they let them escape. And so they start, you know, heading back out towards the front entrance where you've seen, you know, Glenn, Maggie, SASHA, Bob, Rosita, Eugene, and Abraham come in at. And then they start shooting at the ground. But they're not shooting at, you know, Rick, Carl, Michonne, and Daryl. They're shooting to the left or to the right of them or to the back of them to make them continue to move, almost like they're herding them like cattle. And I mean, it's so crazy. It's kind of hard to explain, but I mean, if you can understand what I mean when I'm saying herding them like cattle, that's exactly what's going on here. And you're sitting here thinking to yourself, like, okay, Rick, can you see this? Can you see what's going on here? And Rick, I think he does, man, but there's nothing they can do because these guys are shooting, you know, M16 rounds, M4 rounds. There's nothing they can do. There's absolutely nothing they can do. So they start herding them, man. They herd them into this area that places them inside of a building. And inside of this building, it's almost like a it's almost like, how do you want to say it? It's almost like a kill. Like a kill shed, to where you lead them through you lead these animals through this way, okay? Then after that, you tag them, you know what I'm saying? You kind of get them, you know, in order. And then after that, you expose them to something that's going to, you know, strike fear in them and let them know that, okay, there is no way out of here. You know, you'll kind of calm them down for a little bit, but not really calm them down, but just kind of let them understand that there's no way, there's no escaping to this. So what they did is they put them inside of this room that has this almost like a memorial type place, like room that has these names in circles on the ground. It has candles being lit. And what's kind of crazy is if you look on the wall where Rick, Daryl, Michonne, and Carl being led, it says A. The building number is A. So you lead them through A, you go into this memorial room, they come out of the room, and then after that they're led into a boxcar. Okay, and before they get placed into the boxcar, okay, the boxcar is off to their right as they're standing there, because straight in front of them, there is I guess you can call it a firing squad. You know, a line of soldiers from Terminus that are kind of hid inside the bushes, but they're on the outside of the bushes, and they have their weapons pointed towards Michonne, Daryl, and Carl, and the people that are on the roof, the sharpshooters, they're on the roof, okay? The armed guards, they're on the roof, they're pointing their weapons at them. And then here comes that guy again, that leader from Terminus, the male guy, not the female, but the male guy. And he's like, listen, there's nowhere to go. So he says, the cop, the bowman, and the samurai, and if I got those mixed up or whatever, you kind of understand. He called Michonne a samurai. He didn't call her by their names because obviously he doesn't know their names. And he said, you know, hey, you guys head over to this boxcar, you know, to that train over there, and you get inside there. And then the only person that was left was Carl, man. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, first off, I don't know where baby Judith is at, because as you're walking, as Rick and Michonne and Daryl are walking towards the boxcar, you can start to see on the floor, there's this formula, man. There's spilt formula on the ground, man. And I don't know if it's used formula. It looks like it's spilled, like somebody crushed it, okay? And so what I was thinking is that they either they ate baby Judith, and they're going to eat Carl, or they just murdered him. period. Because as they're running through, going through the building number A, you start seeing, you know, I mean, piles of bones, of human bones, remains, man, ribs. Not ribs like, you know, with some meat and some barbecue sauce. No, I'm talking about I'm talking about ribs, man, like a rib cage, you know what I'm saying? A spine, you know, a skull, stuff like that. You know, hands, man, you know, like skeleton hands, man. Like Tales from the Crypt, skeleton, you know, like Spinal off of Killer Instinct, you know, skeleton, man. Yeah, maybe like, you know, Evil Dead, man, stuff like that, you know, Army of Darkness, those type of things. That's what I'm talking about. On the floor, flesh on the ground, blood everywhere. And then after that, man, Rick bargains with the Terminus guy. He says, I want my son too. And after that, he tells Carl to start walking. Now, I don't understand this scene, man, but it got me so angry. Carl took probably like 90 minutes. And when I say 90 minutes, obviously I'm exaggerating, but he took about a good 2 minutes to walk over to the car where Michonne and Daryl and Rick were getting into. He took so damn long, man. I'm sitting here like, okay, you're going to get your brains blown out because you ain't moving with a purpose, B. Start going. Obviously, you know, he did. And then they go inside the car and they shut the door. And then all of a sudden, man, out the darkness, man, here comes this familiar face, man. And we know who it is because it's Glenn. And then behind Glenn, here comes Maggie. And then behind Maggie comes SASHA and Bob. And behind Bob comes Rosita. And then after Rosita comes Eugene. And then after Eugene comes Abraham. And we're sitting here, I guess I could say me, I'm sitting here about to flip this desk, okay? Break this TV because I don't even know what to say besides every single person is alive, and it's the best feeling in the world because this has never happened before. There's always some sort of death scene that happens, man. And yeah, we're here, man. We're here. At the end of The Walking Dead, man. And what's kind of cool, man, is that inside of the boxcar, man, we get this kind of like this little foreshadowing thing, man, and almost like a little nod to the comic books, man. The Walking Dead issue 64, man, is where Rick is like, you know, these termites, man, these people inside of Terminus don't know who they're messing with, man, when they mess with us, okay? And it's absolutely, man, one of the best things I've seen on television, man. There were so many different things that happened tonight as far as a nod to the comic books, man. And this is like the last issue that I've ever known about, to be honest. I don't know anything that's going to happen after season 4 as far as the comic books, unless they try to grab some more stuff from in those past issues. But The Walking Dead issue 57 was in there tonight, man, where the throat gets ripped out by Rick, man, where he bites that neck. Okay, so that's in there, man. There was a lot of stuff, man, tonight, man, that just pays homage, man, to the entire series. I think that if you guys get an opportunity to sit down and watch it for yourself, I think that you're going to love it. And I hope that you enjoyed this this podcast, man. This was, I mean, we're going on 25 minutes, man, so obviously I talked about it a lot. I had fun. I had fun this season for The Walking Dead. I thank you guys, man, for the comments and the giveaways, man, for entering all that stuff, man. We're going to have some more stuff coming up as soon as they announce the Walking Dead Season 4 box set. We'll have a giveaway for that. The Walking Dead action figures, all that stuff will be coming up pretty soon, man. So look to that. Guys, comment on the videos, man. The more chances for you to win, man, and then obviously I'll know of you. I'll know of who you are and stuff like that. If you stop by the channel every now and then, I'll know exactly who you are, and then obviously you'll have better chances of winning, man, because I know who you are, and I know that you're not a bot. You know, because that's a problem. When I try to do these giveaways, people always come here on my channel and on my Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I don't know you, man. You might be a bot. And then sometimes you are a bot, because I've asked this one dude who won a Smallville box set just 2 months ago. I contacted this dude like 9 times, and he never responded back. So yeah, that's kind of my little frustration with that, man. Anyways, guys, that's it. It's man, it's 9:53 p.m., man, on March 30th, 2014, man. I got to get out of here. I can finally breathe, man. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're happy now, man, but obviously, man, just prepare yourself, because Season 5 is coming, and we didn't lose anybody, okay? So there's death right around the corner, and you better prepare yourself. That's all I can tell you, okay? Yeah, we're out of here, guys. Thanks again for watching, man. And hey, if anybody knows where you can get the Walking Dead magazines, I didn't know that there were Walking Dead magazines, and I want them. So please, somebody let me know if you can. And other than that, man, I'm out of here. Thanks again for watching, man. Follow me on Twitter. Go onto my channel, man, and like and subscribe to all of the different channels, man, that I have on the right-hand side, man. We're out of here, guys. And once again, man, The Walking Dead is one of the best television shows on TV right now. So you definitely need to check that out. And also check out Banshee. Banshee. Come on, Cinemax. We're out of here.